What happens when you gotta catch 'em all? Pokemon Go and its impact on AR. For this project, we were allowed to pick any kind of subject we wanted, and I thought, why not pick something that I'm already super passionate about and something that is near and dear to my heart? So I chose Pokemon Go and its AR functionality. AR certainly falls under the realm of digital media. And before I even talk about what I wanted to focus on with Pokemon Go, I need to kind of define what AR means. AR stands for augmented reality. And there are a lot of different definitions for AR or augmented reality, but livescience.com defines it as the result of using technology to superimpose information on the world we see. It has kind of a cousin counterpart almost called virtual reality, but the two are not the same. Virtual reality is computer-generated worlds that you can kind of immerse yourself in by way of a headset, and it's not necessarily using the real world. It is completely, as I said, computer-generated, whereas AR adds to reality and that we would normally see instead of replacing it. When it comes to Pokemon Go, though, however, I do kind of need to go over it for anybody who doesn't know. And Pokemon Go is a location-based game that utilizes AR, developed in collaboration with Niantic and the Pokemon Company. What it does is it takes the concept of the handheld video games and applies it to a mobile context. So, simply put, you're using AR to catch 'em all. Pokemon Go was released in July of 2016, and it was an immensely popular launch. I remember the day that the game launched, and you couldn't really get into the game because it was just, there was so much traffic. It was so popular, and it was being downloaded like crazy. It became the number one downloaded app days after it was announced. And as of December 2017, the game has been downloaded at least 800 million times. And I couldn't really find a lot of information on how many times it's been downloaded in 2019, but let's just assume it's been more than 800 million times. Like everything, over time, its user base has dwindled, though, a little bit, and Niantic has even come forward that they estimate about 65 million users play the game monthly. Pokemon Go is not the first location-based AR video game out there. Niantic actually had one before it called Ingress. Ingress utilized a lot of Google Maps, and it kind of took the world as we knew it and turned it into a mobile app. And Pokemon Go kind of capitalized on that. And it was just so popular. It became so popular. And it kind of sensationalized augmented reality almost. Admittedly, though, augmented reality is not really the reason for the game's success. That has to do pretty heavily on the fact that so many people grew up with Pokemon and they know what Pokemon is. They can recognize Pikachu wherever they see. So the fact that they were using characters so recognizable really is what made Pokemon Go so successful and so popular. But what Pokemon Go does try to do is it does try to keep AR at its core. It paired up with Apple to create the AR Plus in the game, which really kind of adds to the AR. I think part of the reason people didn't really care for AR with Pokemon Go is that it was kind of standard. You just saw the Pokemon standing there. You couldn't really get closer to them. You couldn't really get them to move. And I know personally speaking, AR is not something that I use often when I play the game. But what AR Plus did was it added to that immersive feel that augmented reality is known for. On the right-hand side of the screen here, we can see some pictures that my friend Caleb took, and he let me use for this presentation. And you can really kind of see that the quality is amazing. You were able to get to see the Pokemon in action. You can really get some crisp and clear images. Obviously, you know, they're 3D, but AR Plus has just become pretty big when it comes to immersing yourself in the game. And in fact, I think Pokemon Go has realized that they need people to use it more, because within the last couple weeks, they've issued a challenge or a contest to its players that, hey, if you want to win a trip to Chicago or Dortmund, Germany, enter our AR Plus contest and take your best AR Plus pictures. So it's pretty neat to see how Pokemon Go has pushed AR a little bit. Now, there are some purists in the tech world, and those purists don't necessarily consider Pokemon Go fully AR, for the simple reason that it's just a really basic version of it. TechCrunch.com kind of calls it that, a basic version of AR. But what Pokemon Go did for AR is that it really put AR in the forefront of consumers' minds. It helped pave the way for people to become more comfortable with AR. We know what it is. It's not so scary anymore because we think of Pokemon Go when we think of AR. Now, AR has kind of had its fair share of bad press by way of Pokemon Go. When the game first came out, there were reports of people breaking and entering into places that they shouldn't have been. People were getting hurt. People were even dying, as macabre as that is, because of this game. And certainly Niantic have implemented measures to prevent bad situations happening. Every time you log into the game, they say you need to be aware of your surroundings. Please don't play Pokemon Go and drive. AR has kind of gotten a bad rap because of that. Apple has come through with AR and really help balance out the bad press. People trust Apple with what they do, at least most of the time. And we know what AR is now. We're not so scared of it anymore. And that's kind of what is gonna be the future of AR. Now, Pokemon Go is a very basic and entertainment-driven function of AR. So it's not the end-all be-all for AR at all. A 2017 article from Time said, for AR to be truly useful, someone's going to need to find and make a platform for it that can host a variety of apps and services. It's likely it'll start with mobile because of the accessibility of a phone camera. In fact, research that I found was that Wayfair has adopted AR as a way to let consumers find a way to visualize their furniture. And it doesn't just stop with Wayfair. PacMag had a really neat graphic that I found that kind of showed what businesses and what services will benefit from AR, including but not limited to healthcare, engineering, real estate, and even retail. It's got a lot of functionality, not just for mobile and gaming. And in fact, the future of the is not going to be rooted in mobile and gaming. It's going to be huge. I found a really neat article from Ben Dixon called Augmented Reality at Work, and he kind of goes through what augmented reality is, how it's being implemented in the workforce, but he also talks about how it's kind of fusing together with virtual reality and how the future is going to work with something what he called mixed reality. And what mixed reality is it is a more advanced, in Mr. Dixon's words, it is a more advanced form of augmented reality that stands between AR and VR. And mixed reality has a depth. It creates the impression that those objects are embedded in real space. It kind of takes that totally immersive feel from virtual reality, but puts it in the real world for us. And he talked about how it's not really anywhere near advanced or streamlined as AR VR. It probably is still in its infancy for a lot of places, but he did mention that a huge aerospace giant called Lockheed Martin uses mixed reality when it comes to designing prototypes for their spacecrafts. And I thought this was really interesting because what he's basically saying is that Lockheed Martin can put their astronauts in a physical space, but they don't necessarily have to have a physical mock-up of a spacecraft. They can project that mixed reality of what it'll look like inside the cockpit. And I just think that's really cool. I think it's a really neat future for AR and VR. I will say that personally, there are some other benefits from Pokemon Go that I thought I was going to go more depth into, but I didn't. But I do think it's important to say that, Pokemon Go has really fostered a community. It's promoted physical activity and things like that. It's really implanted itself in society, and it really was the thing that made AR so huge and so accessible to everybody. And I am so excited to see what will come from it because of Pokemon Go. I think it's really neat that something that I have loved for my entire life is helping society grow. It's really neat, and I'm really excited. And thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.